Alright, first up is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. I do actually have full reviews for this book and a few others I'm going to talk about today. If there are full reviews and you want to find out my further thoughts, a bit more detailed score, then go ahead and click the links that'll be in the top left. Otherwise, I'll just give a quick review here as well as a sort of abbreviated score. So yeah, Dead Silence. I was really excited to read this one. It was quite a lot of fun. It's a story about a ghost ship in space, basically. Take any normal ghost ship story you've read or seen or watched, and then just translate it into space, and then that's kind of what's going on here. The moment-to-moment horror and action stuff is pretty good. The characters are fine. The dialogue is fine. The actual plot gets a little bit confused at parts. I mentioned in my full review, there's kind of 3 different things going on, and they all kind of chafe against each other, whether it's like a paranormal horror, a sci-fi thriller, or like a corporate horror sort of story. And each individual section is great, but where they meet, it kind of chafes against each other, and it just kind of doesn't quite bring them all together like it should. It does kind of drag a little bit in the middle, but overall I did really enjoy it. I think sci-fi horror is my favourite genre, and while Ghost Ship in Space feels like it should be cliche, there's not a huge amount of them that I've read, and so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I do think you should check it out. And I'm really excited for Ghost Station, which is S.A. Barnes' next book that I'm going to hopefully read soon, as soon as I can get my hands on a paperback copy. Alright, up next is my biggest disappointment of the year so far. Again, full review in the corner. This one is Count Zero by William Gibson. Count Zero is the sequel to *Neuromancer. *Neuromancer, a book I read for the first time ever in January, I want to say, and adored, fell in love with. Count Zero is a sequel, it's set in the same universe, it doesn't really share the same characters. The events of *Neuromancer are mentioned, and the events of the ending of *Neuromancer are core to what's going on in Count Zero, but it's never really pointed out, and if you didn't know that, it wouldn't change anything. Like, if you could read Count Zero without reading *Neuromancer, and it wouldn't really affect anything. Count Zero just doesn't have the same magic that *Neuromancer had. *Neuromancer is this tight story with really good characters. Count Zero is these 3 different plot lines that kind of barely touch each other along the way until the very end, at which point they kind of interact. And I think maybe it's that split focus between the 3 different storylines that just leaves it feeling a bit bland, a bit, it's not boring, but a bit, just not very exciting. It doesn't have the magic of *Neuromancer, it doesn't have the fun technology that's in *Neuromancer. You're in the same world, but you don't interact with it as much. And a lot of people say that it's their favourite of the Sprawl trilogy. A lot of people say it's better than *Neuromancer, and I just really disagree. I was super excited for this one, and in the end I really didn't enjoy it very much. It gets a 2 out of 5, just because Gibson's writing is good, but it's just nothing special as far as I'm concerned. And then I got into a bit of a Warhammer kick. The first one I read was Brutal Kunnin by Mike Brooks, which was focused on some orcs attacking a Mechanicum world. If you don't know a lot about Warhammer, orcs are these kind of, they're basically soccer hooligans in space. All they want to do is fight. Their entire culture is based on fighting and having fun fighting. And they're attacking a Mechanicum planet, which is they're tech priests. They worship technology, and they're all about, you know, pretty good tech and pretty good soldiers that are made of like robots and machinery and whatnot. And it's told from both sides, which is really fun because the orcs are really fun characters. The orcs are all about smashing all the humans up. And so you get some real good moments on that side. And then the Mechanicum side is fairly dry and calculating, because that's kind of what they are all about. And you get to see kind of the horror of the siege that's going on. And it was really good. I really liked it. For what it is, you know, it's a sort of B-movie action book. It's really good. It's not gonna make anyone's top book of the year list. It's not gonna make anyone's top books of all time list. It's not the sort of book that I'm gonna spend a lot of time thinking about going forward. But I enjoyed it while I was reading it, so 3 out of 5. Pretty good. And then I read the third book in the Gaunts Ghost series. This one was Necropolis by Dan Abnett. Gaunts Ghost follows the human soldiers, kind of the general infantry soldiers in the Warhammer universe. And in this one, they are defending a hive city, this giant spire-like city with millions and millions of inhabitants, against an invasion of corrupted chaos cultists and whatnot. And it's a siege story told from the side of the defenders. It's really, really, really well done. We really get an insight more into some of the characters in the Gaunts Ghost series, the Gaunts Ghosts in particular, that's a regiment that he leads. And we also get introduced to a lot of new characters in the inhabitants of the city, and how the leadership all the way down to the workers and the miners, and how they react to the siege and how they defend their city. And yeah, I think of the third Gaunts Ghost books I've finished so far, it might be my favourite one. Might just because it's the most recent one, but I thought it was really, really good, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. So yeah, that's all I read this month so far. 4 books, it's not too bad. But I do have a few books that I'm currently reading. So first off, Red Mars by Kim Stanley Robinson. The channel is almost finished with our read-along. On Tuesday, we'll be uploading part 6 of the read-along. There was only 7 parts, so we're very nearly finished. But it's not too late to jump in. The videos will obviously always be up, and I'll always be responding to comments. And so far, I'm enjoying it. Part 5 was my least favourite so far. You can see that video up here. But it was still pretty good. I'm finding it very interesting. This is the second read-along on the channel, obviously, and it's another book that I'm not enjoying quite as much as I thought I would, and I'm wondering if it's the format of, having to read, just a little bit every 2 weeks. Whereas normally I just go through a book like this in a week or so. Or if it's the idea that I'm forced to read it now that I'm on a timeline for the videos. It's interesting, something I'll consider after I finish this one, how I feel about Red Mars at the end. I'm also listening to on audiobook book 4 of Gaunts Ghosts by Dan Abnett. This one is Honor Guard. I have about an hour left, and so far it's really, really good. I'm not sure I like it quite as much as Necropolis, but I'm really enjoying it. Also on audiobook, me and my wife are listening to Rivers of London. This is a magic, surreal realism sort of book, I guess. He is a police officer in England, and he runs into a case where a ghost gives him some advice, and he finds out that, magic is real. And he finds out that the police force in England have a magical division, basically. Very small one, and he joins that. And I'm really liking it. I think I liked the start more than we're up to now. We have about, I think, an hour and a half left of this one, which, given the speed me and my wife listen to audiobooks, might take us a few weeks still. But as we've gotten a bit deeper into it, the mystery's been really good and really enjoyable. But the sort of acceptance of magic within the police force that, at the start I thought it was going to be kind of secretive and dismissive, it kind of feels like he's got a lot of allies in the police force now and they all just believe in magic. And that kind of disappoints me. But it is a very long-running series. We are really liking it, so as long as this comes to a good conclusion, I can see this being a series me and my wife listen to a lot of. And finally, the other book I'm reading right now is the advanced reader's copy of Falling into Oblivion by Aaron Payne. And this is a cyberpunk story that I'm really enjoying. It's a cyberpunk detective story set in Nox City, this really interesting city. Normal cyberpunk tropes at play. One of the really interesting things is that the atmosphere of the city is so polluted you have to wear masks outside to breathe, and that's really fun. I'm about just over halfway through, and I'm really enjoying it. The core mystery is really good so far. I'm really enjoying that. I've got some guesses about where we're going with it, but my only issues, I think, so far, I'm not really connecting with the character's family that he talks about a lot, but, still plenty of book for that to get fixed up or changed. But otherwise, really enjoying it so far. And full disclosure, I did receive that advanced reader's copy for free in return for a unbiased review, which will be coming out on the channel. So what's up for next month? Next month, I'm thinking of doing Cyberpunk Month. Let me know in the comments if you think that's a good idea. Let me know in the comments if you think there's any cyberpunk books I should read. Right now, I'm planning for reviews for Falling into Oblivion, obviously, Mona Lisa Overdrive, Snow Crash, Burning Chrome, and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I'm hoping to get out those 5 reviews in September and make it kind of a cyberpunky month. If there's any other cyberpunk books that you love and you think need reviewing, or you just want me to read and talk about, then let me know. I'd love that. I love cyberpunk as a genre. Are any of the Shadowrun books any good? Has anyone read any of those ones? Anyway, question of the day, just what's the best book you read in August? That's it, that's simple. Best book you read, or the best book you're reading. Best book you wish you'd read if you hadn't read anything. But yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching if you still are, and just remember to keep reading. Yeah.